Yo! What is up, Young in Faith family? My name is Gary. I'm with the amazing Caroline.
Hi, guys.
Yo, we are excited today, yo, because this is going to be an amazing conversation. I actually wanted to stir the conversation to really talk about some harsh questions, like raw questions that we all have, we've been thinking about, and some questions that really we don't address. But I know today's going to be a great conversation. So I wanted Caroline to start off because my dog actually she wrote a book. Mm-hmm. So I want you to talk about your book real quick.
Yeah, so my book is called Undignified, and I actually wrote this right in the middle of the pandemic last year.
Wow.
And for a long time I said I'm going to write a book when I'm coming out of college or when I'm older, when I have more life experience. And I realized that our God is much too big to be put in the box of age or whatever we're going on, and I just really felt like this was a message that our generation needed.
Yeah.
And so this book is all about times in my life that really taught me what does it mean to live undignified. And that word undignified comes from 2 Samuel 6, where King David, he goes out into the streets of Jerusalem and he's welcoming the Ark of the Covenant back into the city after a long time of it being away. And he dances undignified. He's so ecstatic in celebration of the Ark that he's willing to look a little off and get a little uncomfortable because he's like, this is so important, and I want to glorify God at the cost of my kingly position, or what seems like what his people could be like, oh really, that was kind of humble of him to do that.
Right,
so It's all about becoming more humble and becoming uncomfortable to glorify God. Wow. And this book was so much fun. It's a really quick read, and you can find it on Amazon. It's just Undignified by Caroline Dyer. So yeah, So if you're interested, I would love for you to check it out and give me your review and tell me what you think about it.
So guys, this book is actually going to be in a link through this post. So I want you guys to buy her book because, that's amazing, Caroline, how you wrote your book at 17. You know what I'm saying? Many times we wait for us to become 25 or 30, but no, she decided that the need was now. You know what I'm saying? So What if we all decided to step into the now instead of waiting on later to do something that God has called us to do? So I want to applaud you for that, and I want y'all to turn up, buy her book. You know what I'm saying? I think it's $25.
No, it's like $12.
Bro, she gave y'all a discount. Y'all better go buy the book. So no, for real. Buy the book. It's amazing. Get some wisdom, get some energy into your life. It's going to be great. But no, guys, hey, so we actually want to start off with the conversation. We're going to do a couple phone calls. We're actually going to start off with some voice messages that amazing people have sent in through DM. But we're going to start off with Mendon. She's actually coming through, and I want y'all to listen to this real quick.
Hey, Caroline and Gary. My name is Mendon, and I have a quick question for you guys. So I'm going into my senior year of high school, and I know previously that it has been really hard to remain faithful in different social settings and school settings, especially with a lot of heavy outside influence. So my question is, how are you two able to remain faithful when outside influence is so strong, especially in high school?
Wow, that's a good question.
I love that. You want to start off with that?
Yeah, so I totally relate to how Mendon's feeling. And I feel like no matter what situation you're in, there's always someone that disagrees with what you're doing or doesn't have the same beliefs and views as you.
Wow. And
and so I can never say it doesn't really get any easier, but I know in high school it is really tough because you're with the same people every day. But I think when you realize that it's not about what people think of you and you shift your perspective and you're actually in eternity, it's about glorifying God, and it's about how is what I'm saying, what I'm doing, glorifying his name and furthering the kingdom. Because the kids you're with, the adults you're with, they're not going to remember, or they're not really thinking about, whatever. And when you start to look different, and they might be saying oh, that's weird, oh, that's whatever. But in the back of their mind, even if it's just one person and 50 people think you're weird, but if that one person's wow, their integrity is so strong, they're going against what the current is doing.
Wow.
And I think that's so worth getting uncomfortable and being bold in your faith,
Wow. I love that. I think for me, it's about knowing who you are. You know what I'm saying? When you don't know who you are, the call to you goes out the window. So I see so many people that they're trying to be like everybody else. They're trying to follow the crowd. But what I love about Mendon is that she wants to do her own thing. She wants to go the God way. She wants to do the right way.
Yeah.
And I think many times in our culture, it's so much pressure to go the wrong way. It's so much pressure to follow in what culture's doing. But God also says that, hey, I have called you to a different mission.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So even for me in my life, I know that when I was in high school and middle school, there were so many opportunities for me to do wrong. There were so many opportunities for me to fall into the wrong crews. You know what I'm saying? But there was something in me that said, no, I can't do this. There was something in me that said, no, Gary, you got to go this direction because you're called to so much more. You know what I mean? So you have to always remind yourself that, hey, I know what God has called me to, and I know the vision that He has for my life. So I can't settle for the things of this world.
Wow.
I can't settle for the toxic relations or the things that people may want me to do. And you'll look like an outcast. And even Jesus looked like the outcast to so many people. Like, you'll look like crazy. People are like, what do you think you are? And, no, but you know who you are. You know what you're called to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think it's about just sticking to God's plan, sticking to what He wants you to do, and following into His steps. And you'll get to everything that you're called into your life. So
that's so good. That's so good. Yeah.
I love that. So we're going to go to our next question. But thank you, Mendon, for that. I know that was a question that everybody needs to know about. So
definitely.
But yeah, I have Stacy Darris. That's my dog. We actually went to high school together. But let me hear from her real quick.
Hey Gary, it's Stacy, and I just wanted to ask this. So my question was, I'm very big on money. I'm very big on making money and making sure my family's good. But I know that I can make money my first priority at times when my first priority should be God. So I was wondering, how do I either balance out my love for, not even having a love for money, but making money not my main focus and still remembering that God is the source of all the things that I get, and making sure that...
Well, that was in, so she kind of cut it off. But no, like, I love that question. I think what Stacey is saying is that she has experienced a moment in her life where she's like, hey, like, I'm grinding, I'm kind of getting money, I'm chasing after money. But then there's a side of like, hey, like, she doesn't want to make money the source of who she is. She doesn't want to make money the source of her gateway to get out for certain situations. But because when you make money the throne of your life, then that's where certain things are gonna fall down. So I know so many people, they have money, they have the cars and the houses, but they're really depressed inside. You know what I'm saying? Because there are certain things that money can't fix. There's certain things that money cannot fill. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that, and there's so many people with different struggles. Like, you come from a family, and even for me, I know, I'm gonna be real, like, I come from a family that we don't have money like that. We had struggles sometimes. There was times where we didn't have money to go buy the newest clothes or buy the newest shoes, and there were sacrifices that had to be made in that season to get to where we needed to be. You know what I'm saying? And there's times where, I know there's high schoolers, you're like, man, I have to work because I don't have support from my parents. I have to work so hard and grind because there's really nobody's gonna hand me out like, hey, here's $100 or $200 this week. You know what I'm saying? To go eat or go take care of my bills. And it's crazy that a lot of us had to really grow up fast. We were forced to grow up in an environment. We were forced to grow up to become a 25-year-old when we were really like 15, 16. You get what I'm saying? But it's really about having that balance, I believe. Yeah. And really saying, hey, like, I'm believing, I'm gonna trust God with everything, you know what I'm saying? And when you trust God with everything, He's willing to multiply it. He's willing to give you more than you can ever ask for. So not depending on, hey, that job that's giving you, $15, $20 an hour, but no, saying that, you know what, that's not my source. God's my source, and I'm willing to trust Him because He's really writing out my story. So yeah,
that's good. And I think when it comes to money, it is all throughout Scripture, and it's huge. And because we all have to walk through figuring out this balance of not letting money become an idol. And I think for me, how I make sure that money is just money and it's not my security is the second that I get my paycheck, I go and I calculate how much my tithe is going to be. And I think when we put tithe as a top priority when we're getting money, that's our way of releasing and knowing that it's not our money, it's what God has blessed us with, and we're just the vessels, and we get to use that money to get our groceries and get clothes and bless our families and bless our friends. And And also, we do get to enjoy money, but making sure that there is a healthy balance and being like, wow, like I just got this money and I'm going to generously and joyfully release it and tithe and bless the kingdom and further the kingdom. Yeah. And I think that's where, like, hey, like when you get your paycheck and you're like, ooh, like that's a lot of money that I'm getting for tithe. That's an immediate red flag that you're like, okay, this is becoming a foothold in my life where the enemy is trying to create stinginess within me. And you need to be like, hey, like it's a get to, not a have to. Like we get to further the kingdom, and whatever church you're plugged into, like get plugged in financially as well, because that is so important. And that's our way of saying, God, I'm thankful for what you've given me, and now I want you to use it to further your house.
Wow, I love that. I think many people think God wants your money. God doesn't need your money. God doesn't he doesn't need your tithe. He wants you to be a part of the vision and plan so that he can further the kingdom. But he's like, man, I wish they give me $200 this week. Like, no, he's not like that. He's saying, yo, like, I want them to tithe because I want that trust relationship. Like if I were to give Caroline $500 this week, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to trust Caroline that she's going to give it back to me. You know what I'm saying? But not so that I'm taking care of her needs. I know she's asking me for money because she needs it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, though, I'm trusting that she's going to return it back to me. So there's times where we're in a position where we can't, you're in a big hole right now. And you're like, yo, I just can't give $20 this week. And you're like, man, how am I going to be secure? How can I talk to the church? But it's really that trust factor saying, yo, I know God's going to take care of me. I'm going to believe and have faith. And I promise you, every time that I tithe, guys, I have always received something. And it's not about just receiving something, it's about being a part of the plan. Because I wonder how our world would look like if we decided to all tithe, if we decided to all give. Yeah. Like, how would our community change? How would our schools change? Like, if we decided to give tithe and just bless people, because there's people out here really struggling, guys. And to be a part and really to bless other people is such a blessing. And God's saying, hey, I'm willing to bless you as well. Yeah. So I love that.
That's good. I love that.
I love that. So I think you said at the same time.
Yeah, I just realized that.
Man, all right. So I got Abby on the next voice memo. She's actually coming up and she had an amazing question. So let me just play it real quick.
So my name's Abby, and my question is about relationships. And the question is, why do people in relationships that drift away from their significant other stay with that person? I'm kind of just asking this question because I was actually in a situation where this happened and the other person drifted away, but they didn't want to break up with me, and then they started treating me not in a godly way. So I kind of had to pull the plug on that one. But I just kind of want to know, like, not necessarily why this happens, because I get why it happens. You know, people drift away, they drift apart. But I just am curious as to why they would stay with the other person and keep that toxic environment.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. You want to start? Who wants to start?
You can start.
You want to start?
Yeah.
Turn it up?
Yeah.
Okay. But no, I think I have seen a lot of my homegirls really in high school. They would get with a dude and, you know, they get in a relationship because of our feelings. Like, you feel something, and, you know, we think, you hear a lot that, hey, follow your heart, follow your feelings, but the truth is your feelings will lie to you. You know what I'm saying? Thinking that, you know, you're going the right direction. And I think for many toxic relationships, where it comes about is where you'll get with a person thinking that they were this way, but then you truly find out, like, hey, they're not this person that they're truly for you. You know what I'm saying? And many people that I know stay in toxic relationships is either because, one, they have invested so much into the relationship, and they're like, yo, like, even though it's not going the way I want it to, I invested so much time. Yeah. So why should I leave and go to, you know what I'm saying? And the second one is really like, hey, like, they're just giving you so many chances. It's because they have this, there's always that small part in you. They're like, man, I know this person can be this person. I know this person can do better. But you cannot put yourself can't believe in a false hope, really. And you can't put yourself in a belief where it's not really showing, that person not showing their actions, like they're not showing that, hey, they truly love you or truly for you. You get what I'm saying? So it's really about knowing who you are, number one, and knowing who you are and who God has called you to be, and who the people that God wants to place around you. but knowing that, hey, this is not the person I need in my life because they're not willing to invest in me and they're not willing to take me to the next level in the next chapter of my life. So I can't waste time in those type of relationships.
That's good. And I think, Abby was asking, like, why would they stay? And I think sometimes we might find ourselves getting into relationships because we think that person will fulfill the hole inside of us.
Wow.
When really, like, that is God's place. And if God is not at the center of your everything,
wow,
then stuff is going to fall apart.
Wow.
And I think it's important that we know that no relationship, whether it be a friendship or a significant other, no one is going to complete you in the way that God completes you. And I think it's important that sometimes we allow ourselves to stay in these toxic situations because we're like, well, they'll get better or they'll complete because I'm not enough without them. And it's important that we know that that is so false. And we need to put God at the center, and God will bring people into our life that we'll enjoy time with and we'll have fun with, and they will make us better. And if they're not making us better, then that's not from God, that's not of God. And it's important that we find that balance, that God's at the center. And in any relationship, whether it be friendship or significant other, if you want that relationship to blossom, God has to be at the center. And if he's not, then you know that that's not going to be a flourishing relationship, and that's not of God. And then it turns into this toxic situation where people are just getting hurt. So it's important that in every relationship, every area of our life, God has to be at the center, and he has to be the one that we go to with all of our struggles.
I love that. I think one of the things that stuck out to me what Caroline said was, hey, like, God has to be at the center. If you're putting a relationship in the center of your life, you're putting other things in the center of your life, that you cannot expect for your life to flourish and grow. You know what I'm saying? And many times that our culture really advises us to really listen to what they're doing, but it never works out. You get what I'm saying? Never. There's so many celebrities I know. I'm not bashing celebrities, but there's so many people I know out there. They're posting one thing on Instagram and social media as if it's like relationship goals, and it's really not relationship goals because it's not. They're not progressing. They break up. You know what I'm saying? They become within themselves. They get to a toxic area in their lives, and you don't want a relationship to damage you. I know so many people that have the stain and the pain from a relationship that they have left, and they become a toxic person within themselves, not because they were a toxic person in the beginning, but because they put themselves with a toxic person that transferred their energy to them. You get what I'm saying? So it's about really, again, knowing who you are, and then also putting God in the center. And you can expect when you put God in the center through your relationship, it's about to work out. Love it.
Hey guys, part 1 was so much fun, and stay tuned for part 2. The next video coming out pretty soon. We have a few more questions that we want to answer, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Peace.